Now they're on the April cover of National Geographic's issue on race, something beyond their wildest dreams.
Wow!
Confondre bronzé, brun, avec noir africain, ça fait bien, on a l'impression qu'ils veulent valider l'immigration, vous voyez, c'est bien, c'est ni bien ni mal, mais quand on est scientifique, on essaye de montrer la réalité.
This is a replica of a skull from Nigeria, and it was dug up in 1965 by Thurston Shaw and his team, an archaeologist. It is about 13,000 years old. And my colleague Katerina Havati used a new technique of digitizing the surface of the skull in 1972. And she found, as I did, that it does not look like recent African material. So here we've got a recent African skull, and here's the skull from Iwo Eleru in Nigeria. You can see that this skull is much longer, it's much lower. And all in all, it's got a much more what we could call primitive appearance, even though it's only 13,000 years old.
But if it would create some suspense for his show, Priestley felt it would be worth it. A DNA test had previously been attempted on Cheddar Man and failed. But a new test had come into use, one which held much more promise. The museum sent Cheddar Man's jawbone to the Molecular Science Institute in Oxford. From one of the tooth cavities in the jaw, scientists attempted to extract a special type of DNA known as mitochondria. In the human body, the mitochondria is inherited unchanged, generation to generation, but only down the maternal line, from woman to woman. It is the DNA most likely to stand the test of time, and could still exist in the ancient bones. Much to Philip Priestley's relief, the scientists succeeded in finding a usable sample.
So I was approached by Philip to try and DNA some students who came from the local area. So I simply asked them a question along the lines of how many of you have had grandparents living in this area, and if they could go back 2 or 3 generations. I asked them if they'd like to have their DNA tested.
The students agreed. The day arrived, and with film crew present, Priestley documented the event. The scientists took their samples back to Oxford and began to cross-reference the results.
Looking down here, yes.
Look at the one.
There are 292.
Only one.
Only one out of the whole lot. On the basis of what we've got here, that would be an identical match, which would mean that they had a common maternal ancestor. So who do we match this up with? Let's see.
Number 12.
Number 12. So who's number 12?
Number 12 was a match. Someone at the school was a direct descendant of Cheddar Man.
So who's number 12?
Number 12 was a match. Someone at the school was a direct descendant of Cheddar Man. The molecular biologist who had conducted the test and asked him.
I said, is this the oldest, the longest DNA bridge that's ever been made between an ancient person and a modern person? He said, yes, it is. So I said, it's a world record. He said, yes, it is.
An incredible discovery. Philip Priestley had bridged the gap across 400 generations. He had the ultimate payoff for his documentary. Now, all he had to do was reveal to the world who the matching subject was.
Who is related to the caveman found in Cheddar? Yes? What would you feel like if it was one of you? It's Adrian Target.
Thank you very much.
This is the man that's closest related to Cheddar Man.
I'm overwhelmed.
How do you feel about that, Adrian?
A bit surprised. I was just about to say, I hope it's not me.
This is the first time anyone had been able to establish a direct link between ourselves and our prehistoric ancestors.
It was all over the newspapers. This is the Sun newspaper. There's the Times. Here, big feature. That's front page picture. That's the Guardian, a terrific piece. That's the Daily Star. Here's another example. And this is a Swiss publication.